Welcome aboard Rocket Ship, the platform with the most relevant content for competitive examinations. Today again we will discuss a further question in General Studies Paper 1 of Civil Services Mains Examination. The question is, the 8th to 6th century BCE period is characterized by a profusion of cities. Discuss the factors that gave rise to the period of second urbanization in India, how this period has left lasting imprints on India. We can see here that the question has two parts. In the first part, we have to write the factors that led to the profusion of cities in the 8th to 6th century BCE period in India, which has duly been called the period of second urbanization. And second, how this period has left lasting imprints on India. How do you introduce this answer? Your answer? You can begin with writing that during the Harappan period was mostly an urban civilization period. However, after the decline of Harappan civilization, during the Vedic period, we do not see as large number of cities as during Harappa. So, naturally, there was a dearth of cities during the Vedic period. However, in the next 2 centuries or so, during the 8th to 6th century, we again see a large number of cities coming up. So, this period, this 8th to 6th period has been called the period of second urbanization. The period of first urbanization being naturally the Harappan period. What were the factors responsible for second urbanization? The adjoining graphics introduces some of these factors. Some of these factors were economic change, societal change, political consolidation, and emergence of new religious movements. So these are some of the factors responsible for second urbanization. We'll elaborate on these factors one by one. Coming to economic transition or economic change, we certainly know that the Vedic period was a pastoral economy. Its economy was pastoral, that is, it was based on animal husbandry. However, in this period, during 8th to 6th century BC, we see agricultural development in India, and the economy transitions to an agricultural economy from a pastoral economy during the Vedic period. And with the rise of agricultural economy, there emerges agricultural surplus. Agricultural surplus emerges, and this surplus has to be traded. So there also emerges trading and monetary economy. Next, related to economic transition to an agricultural surplus based economy is societal changes that come up with the change in economy. What we see here is the rise of a trading class. Basically, Vaishya people, they become prominent because there is some surplus which has to be traded, and as the trading class, Vaishyas become important or prominent. And we know that the Vaisyas had formed their groups like Srenis, guilds, etc., which were tasked with providing training and making bylaws, etc. These guilds and Srenis, etc., were naturally centered around the trading towns. So these trading towns later developed into market towns, and in time to come they turned into large cities themselves. Next comes political consolidation. We know that in this period, during 8th to 6th period, we see the phenomenon of Mahajanpadas. The Buddhist and Jaina sources mention not less than 16 Mahajanpadas in northern India. And some of these Mahajanpadas like Avanti and most prominently Magadh turn into empires. The capital cities of these Mahajanpadas were some of the first cities to emerge in India. And we can give the examples of cities like Mathura, which was the capital of Sursena Janpad. We can also give the example of Ujjain, which was the capital of Avanti Janpad. We can give the example of Varanasi, of Kasi Janpad and so on. So we can see that with political consolidation, that is with the rise of Mahajanpadas, their capitals turn into major cities. Next, we have to appreciate that there was religious change also going on in the society. What we see the emergence of Protestant religious movements like obviously Buddhism, Jainism, etc. What is significant, what is to be noted here, that these new sects call for congregation of monks, that is sanghas. They call for the monks to gather at some place which are called monasteries. Sanghas naturally required major monasteries, and some of these monasteries later become the centers around which develop some towns. For an example, we know of this monastery which is Isipatana or Isipatna, which is in Sarnath. Isipatan was in Sarnath, and we know that the Varanasi has developed around Sarnath. Also, there was Uruvela in Gaya or Bodh Gaya. So these monasteries form the nucleus around which some cities grow later. The second part of the question is how this period of second urbanization has left lasting impacts on India. We can well see it here that some of these major cities still exist. The examples being again Mathura is there, Ujjain is there, Kashi, Rajgir, and so on. All these cities still exist and are counted among the prominent major cities of India still till today. Next, these cities have left cultural impacts on India, so much so that some of these cities have turned into holy cities, of which 7 were most prominent, like Kashi, Kanchi or Kanchipuram in South India, Ujjaini, etc. So we can say that in the form of their continued existence and also there being centers of culture and religious centers also, these cities have left lasting impacts on India. To sum up, it was an interplay of economic transition to an agricultural economy from a pastoral economy, societal change, that is emergence of a trading class, and political consolidation, along with emergence of new Protestant religions which call for a very different kind of a structure. We see rise of cities in India, and this urbanization, this period of second urbanization has left lasting impacts on India in the form of major cities which still exist, and also it has left cultural imprints on India in the form of some cities which are considered even holy. So that is how we write this question. This was all for today. We meet again for the next lecture in a few days. Meanwhile, you enjoy your life. Seriously, you go through your notes and try to take writing practice as much as possible. We wish you all the best. Thank you.